You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome in and welcome all. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday night. It is the 13th of August. We're inching closer and closer back to the start of the NFL season. And tonight we're bringing you another NFL SuperCoach focused show. We did have our mock draft Monday over on Sleeper last night, which Mav, might I add, mate, well done. I thought you probably had the best team out of the bunch. And I'm not just saying that because you're the only one here. Before I throw it over to you, Mav, just to catch your thoughts on that. If you have missed our first couple of SuperCoach shows, I have a link to the videos in the description below. First show, we kind of had an intro, bit of an overview to NFL SuperCoach, which was good, and we released that the night of the SuperCoach release for NFL. And also Secko, brave man he is, revealed his team on the second show, but both links are in the video descriptions below. Now, Mav, just you and I tonight. They do say quality over quantity. How are you feeling tonight as we dive back into SuperCoach?
Yeah, good, mate. I did notice at the start of the show there, you did say it's the 13th of August.
It's the 12th,
already one strike. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's gone pear-shaped there. But all in all, pretty good, mate.
That's good, mate. Very good to hear. 12th of August. Thank you, Mav. But also last night we did have a mock draft. So if you did miss that, make sure you go and catch that one out. But tonight, if you can see in the tagline there, mid-priced madness, we will be diving through. We'll be going through all the players. I'll have it up on the screen here. We'll be going through each position: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. We'll all be looking at guys between that 7 to 14 mil cash range. For tight ends, it'll be a little bit lower just because of the overall players. If we did 14 mil, it'd be the whole lot. So 7 to 11, kickers 7 to 10 mil, and defense and special teams positioned from the 6 to 8 mil range. So with that being said, Mav, one thing I will actually throw up, our Insight Unlimited League, and we were talking about this just before going live, it is absolutely going ballistic. We currently have just under 200 people in there, and I will throw that up here on screen if you do want to get involved. 57773 there on the screen. That'll get you into our Insight Unlimited NFL SuperCoach League, and we will be giving out prizes for the weekly total points winners throughout the season. So that's going to be a really good one if you want to get involved. That's it there on the screen. I'll flip this back over. Now, Mav, I can't think of anyone better for this show than yourself tonight. You know, you're a money guy, you're money maverick, as some people like to say, you out there on the streets. What are you kind of, looking for when it comes to these mid-price range guys? Like, because we're going to be covering guys that we think are hot and simply guys that we think are not. Mate, you're no sound coming through, Mav. No, nothing. Nothing, Mav, right? No, there you go.
Clear, mate. My computer is struggling here a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me clearly or anything like that, but
no, it's coming through now.
Yeah, I'm struggling bad. You might need to take over for a second here, mate.
Yeah, no, all good, Mav. I'll run us off. I'll dive straight into quarterback. So, ladies and gents, Mav will be back. He'll just be trying to fix up what's going on there. But as I stated, it is a mid-price madness show, going through position by position and pinpointing guys in that price range, that middle price range that we've said that we think are going to be worth the money or simply not. So I'll flip up here on the screen. There we go. So hopefully everybody can see that all pretty clearly. Starting off with quarterbacks. Now, looking at quarterbacks in the previous shows of this SuperCoach series, we've really identified that those quarterbacks with dual threat capability. So that's guys that are going to be throwing both passing touchdowns and also running in for rushing touchdowns. Those guys are going to be cheat code in this scoring format. As we know, scoring 8 points for passing touchdowns and then 12 for rushing. So as we kind of filter through here in our previous shows, we said Secko, he's got two two rushing quarterbacks in both of his flex and also QB position. But looking at these guys, I mean, there's not too many to go through that are going to be worth the money. Starting us off in this price range, Justin Fields, he will be a big tick in this area. He offers both. And I know it's only preseason. We had preseason week 1 over the weekend. He had a play, I believe he was 15 yards out, shimmied a couple of guys off, and then ended up running it in for a score. So just that alone probably would have gathered him about 15 SuperCoach points just on that play. So you can kind of tell these guys just hold so much value. And in this middle price range, if you are looking from that 7 to 14 mil, it's really going to be Justin Fields. He's the absolute far and above guys in this range. And besides Justin Fields, the only other one that would be worth targeting would be Michael Penix Jr. Now, with Michael Penix Jr. having a bit of a lay of the land of last year, he did sit for a majority of the year behind Kirk Cousins. I believe he came in at about week 14, week 15, only had 3 games under his belt to kind of show us what he can do. That's why his price tag is discounted for us. So if you are looking at guys in this range, he would be another one to target. But all these other guys in this list, starting from the top, Jake Browning, Andy Dalton, Sam Howe, Deshaun Watson, Massage Parlor guy, Will Levis, Aiden O'Connell, all of these guys, they are all backups currently in the NFL. So they will not get a run out the gate. If you're rostering these guys, you're just burning money. You're going to get absolutely no return on investment. Even if there was an injury to the starters in front of these guys. So, for instance, Tyrod Taylor, he's the backup for Justin Fields currently. If there was an injury to Justin Fields, I would even think that Tyrod Taylor isn't even worth anything. He doesn't really offer much. He's a backup quarterback caliber player. The value isn't really worth it there for 10 mil. So, yeah, looking through quarterbacks in this range, it's Justin Fields, it's Michael Penix Jr., it's end of list. Another example of guys that you do not want, Spencer Rattler. It's looking like he will be the starting guy for the Saints week 1. But with that being said, the Saints, that offense as a whole, we all expect it to be a dumpster fire, and it won't produce much of return anyhow. So spending nearly 12 mil on that position, it's just not going to gather you any gain of return at that point in time. So Zach Wilson, again, another example. He is playing behind Tua, so he's not going to be worth anything in that regard. And we've got Mav back. Mav, how are you going, mate? Technical difficulties beside you, I hope?
Yeah, mate, I've actually got the phone out, which I never thought would be a thing. But the phone is out. I'm hoping this is actually okay.
That sounds good, mate. Looking good. Love the commitment. And just to fill you in, Mav, I've just kind of gone through the quarterbacks in the 14 to 7 mil range. It's really only Justin Fields, and it's really only Michael Penix Jr., the guys that are really going to be worth anything, because everybody else looking at this list, besides maybe Spencer Rattler, are going to be backup quarterbacks this upcoming season. Is there any other kind of insight that you can give on these guys before we switch over to running backs?
Well, Justin Fields is probably the only guy there that you would probably even consider, to be honest with you. There's not really one else there that you'd look at as a mid-price madness player that you go, shit, he has to be on my team. I think Justin Fields has really good upside coming into the year. I think he's got a chance to make it his own. And I truly believe that if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be him. But he's not on my team. It's either I'm going primo or I'm going rookie. So at the moment, he's out of my team. But I will play around with a feature where Justin Fields is in my team and see what it looks like around it. But at this point, no.
Yeah, and I've had a little tinkering. Fields is in my starting lineup for now. It was in the flex, either him or Drake May. I think they offer similar production, and Fields is about that 4 mil discount. May, of course, we expect to have a higher ceiling when it's all said and done at the end of the day. But rushing quarterbacks, and yeah, there's really only 2 guys in this range, so we can put this one to bed. Everybody else simply not worth it. We'll jump over here to the running backs here, Maverick, and just to give a little bit lay of the land. I mean, the top 6 guys besides Tony Pollard. DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, they're probably the only starters in this top 6. Rashad White, Rico Dowdle, Kareem Hunt, Najee Harris, they all kind of project to not really be starters coming off week 1. Najee Harris potentially, but he's been injured in the offseason. There's a lot of gray area floating around his name. But these guys, the price is so high because of last year's production and the situations that have simply just changed over the offseason. I mean, looking at putting a sleeper hat on for the moment, you wouldn't be taking any of these guys really of going where their price range in compared to SuperCoach at the moment. And going down the list, Brian Robinson Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Charbonnet, all guys that you aren't really going to want to invest in. Before I throw it over to you, Mav, the only really guy that I'd probably like to take a stab at, or there's probably three, and it's these guys right here: Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, and Isaiah Pacheco. They all have a decent chance to be their team's number one running back out the gates, and they're all below 9 million in that range. What do you kind of think, Mav, in this running back tier?
It's another hard one for running backs. My builds at the moment have again been 3 rookies and 3 primos. I haven't actually even considered having a mid-price player in my squad at the running back position. Isaiah Pacheco, if I was to pick anybody at all, Isaiah Pacheco. What's his price there? Sorry, Mullin. No, I can hardly see
just under 8.5.
Yeah. Okay. So Isaiah Pacheco came into the year in 2024 with extreme amounts of hype, right? He had true bell cow potential on an offense that was screaming for a running back. We're not sure if that's still going to be the case this year. We're still not sure if he's going to be that bell cow back. He's got Kareem Hunt there, and that's pretty much it. So there's potential for him. It depends how healthy he is and how he's come back and how he's bounced back from that injury. If he was to get the full work share and he was to have every opportunity to be a 3-down back, he's a really, really good option at that price. He'll gain money. He'll be probably a top 12 RB if he gets all the workload and he's effective with it. The problem is, will he?
It's a big question mark for sure, and we can tell. I think he broke his fibula or something like that, Mav, if I'm not mistaken. Broke his leg for some point, but you could tell when he came back at the back end of the last year, he just wasn't the same. Wasn't the same person as the start of the season, which was sad to see. But with guys in this area, you also want to target the guys that are going to be linked to a good offense. And Kansas City, with Patty Mahomes, as much as we joke about it, those guys are always going to be pretty consistent when it comes to scoring up there. So, but very similar to quarterbacks, it's really you want to stick to the primo positions or the rookies. The guys in the mid prices aren't really worth it that we're looking at to start us off. So, but with that being said, wide receivers, there is a bit of value to be had. So we'll spend a little bit more time in the wide receiver grouping. And starting off at 14 mil, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen, Jerry Jeudy, Juwan Jennings, Rashid Shaheed, DJ Moore. And these guys, get down to the list. So how many? We got 66 players in this tier, down to Olamide Zacchaeus. Mav, I'm going to point out a couple of guys that I think that you should probably steer clear of, and we'll get a couple from you as well and see what you think. I mean, out the gate, Adam Thielen, price at 13.5 mil. I think he's going on to age 34 season. The Carolina Panthers invested their 8th overall pick into a true alpha wide receiver 1 in Ted McMillan, who is a rookie, and his price, you'd much rather have that. He's about $9 million cheaper than Thielen as it sits. Also, Rashid Shaheed, he's a big no. The value is just not there at 13.3 mil. And this one is actually, it's surprising that he's priced this much because he missed most of last year with an injury. He's tied to a horrible offense. And the value just isn't even there. But Mav, I'll throw it over to you to see what guys you have that you wouldn't really touch in this tier before I throw up a couple of questions that are coming through in the chat.
Well, DJ Moore has been one that I've been avoiding, even in drafts at the moment. I've sort of been steering clear from DJ Moore. It's just a bit of a murky room at the moment with a lot of options there. Is he the number 1 or is he the number 2? We're not sure in terms of that. Look, there's a comment there in the chat there. I'm not going to say his name out loud. It's probably not suited for the pod. But Waddle versus Olave is actually a really good sort of comparison there. Olave is probably one that I have been avoiding. I don't like the QB situation there at New Orleans at all. I don't know what that's going to look like, if that's going to even improve as the season goes along. But early on, we're still not sure if it's going to be Shuck starting at QB or if it's going to be Spencer Rattler starting at QB. And as I said before, both are really bad options. So unfortunately, QB play will affect your wide receivers and how they translate to NFL fantasy. So unfortunately, as good as Olave actually is, I really like him as a player. Injury prone, and obviously he's had a few head knocks. But as a super coach option, I'm not a massive fan at all, to be honest with you. Versus a guy like Jalen Waddle, who good players there and could be, could be anything at that price.
And Mav, I think that's a good segue because Jalen Waddle. So on one side, Olave, we're kind of fading him at the moment, even though the cost is a bit lower. But if you can get Jalen Waddle, who is the cover of tonight's show, we think that price it's worth spending up on. Or are you on the same page when it comes to Jalen Waddle, or you're more on the Tyreek Hill side of the conversation?
Mate, I've had both players on my side at various points so far in the first 6 days or 5 days this station has been open. Just testing and trying what it looks like with both players in. I've posted my team on socials. My first team that I created, I posted on socials with Tyreek Hill in it. And I got a few comments straight away saying that Tyreek Hill shouldn't be in your team. There's massive concerns. And I don't disagree, to be honest with you. I really don't. He's old, injury prone. He's going through an injury at the moment as well. There is situations where that, he might not be that mid-price player where you can put in and sort of he dominates. But Jalen Waddle, first 2 years in the competition for NFL fantasy, he was electric, right? We thought this guy might be the number one dynasty wide receiver at one point in time. Then the last 2 years, he's sort of he settled down a little bit, and now he's probably in that mid-range area. If there's anybody I'm doing and putting in my team as a mid-price player, a wide receiver, the first player I'd put in would be Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I can't disagree on that one. I mean, if you want a piece of this offense, and I guess just to explain a little bit too where the discounted price is coming in with these guys. Waddle, majority of the last year, he was kind of dealing with niggling injuries that kept him out of games. It was a bit frustrating at times because he'd start the game and then he'd get injured midway through and then he'd be out for a majority of it. And the same thing with Tyreek Hill, dealing with a wrist injury throughout most of the back end of last year. And on top of that, Tua, their main starting quarterback, the guy that they paid all this money to, he missed a big chunk of time throughout the season. And you could tell, I mean, they had the likes of Snoop Huntley, Skylar Thompson is another one too, Mav, that you've been throwing out, who's just, you reckon you could probably throw a bit better than him, which is, let the people imagine just how good that might be. But yeah, this is where the injury dip is coming. And we've seen when this offense is firing, like a couple of years ago, Tyreek Hill was I think it was the second overall, or actually in 2023, he would have been the number one fantasy point scored in this format. And if we go down to Jalen Waddle, I believe he would have been top 15 in that same year. So it just kind of goes to show when this offense is humming and all the pieces are healthy, everyone's together, this price is just too discounted to fade. And fantasy is a gamble. You need to take these risks, and at these prices, definitely money to be made. But with that, Mav, getting a little bit more positive in this tier, who are some key guys that you're really targeting, to go along with the likes of Waddle and Tyreek Hill?
Calvin Ridley is probably another one that's come on my radar. I hadn't had him in any sides of mine just yet. What's he priced at on the screen there? Sorry, I can hardly see it on my phone.
11.42.
What was that? Sorry, mate.
11.42.
11.42. So, look, he's the wide receiver one at the Titans, right? There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. He is. He's now tied down to a new QB. Looks like they've got a bit of chemistry. We saw so in the preseason. He's one that really is featuring in a lot of sides going around SuperCoach at the moment with that mid-price tag. I hadn't had the balls to put him in just yet. I'm still playing around my team, and I'll have my team reveal at some point within the next week. And I tell you what, my team is absolutely loaded with talent.
There we go.
Loaded. But in saying that, Calvin Ridley is still yet to feature in my team. I'm still he's 29 now, so look, it's pretty much 1 or 2 years left of his fantastic play left. I actually feel sorry for Calvin Ridley. He hasn't had a good QB in the last 3 seasons or so. So he's crying out for some sort of, I suppose, some sort of QB that's going to feed him. Cam Ward's got the potential to do it. But SuperCoach comes down to making money. That's all it comes down to. The biggest concern with SuperCoach and these players at mid-price is you want these guys to be making money. You want these guys to get to premium price at some point throughout their season. If they don't, you're stuck with them in your team and you can't trade them out. Or you can trade them out, but it's going to cost you, I don't know, you're going to have to put at least $7 or $8 million on top of his head to try and upgrade him to a decent player. That could take 3 trades to do. So it's always a bit hard to make sure you have to get it right. But he does have the ability to be able to do that, though. And I'm hoping this year he does. DFAB is big on Calvin Ridley this year. And I'm starting to get the same sort of affection for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, everything's kind of pointing up for Calvin Ridley this year. I mean, even last year, he probably had the most quiet 1,000-yard season of all wide receivers. It was pretty buried with that. And I think even Secko on his team reveal Sunday night, he did have Calvin Ridley in there. So, I mean, there's definitely money to be made. And looking at the guys around him, Jalen McMillan, Alan Lazard, they're probably the 4th option on their team at best at the moment. So this price is just outrageous. You'd definitely be fading those guys. And yeah, Calvin Ridley, he's definitely one where you can make a bit of cash. One guy that really sticks out to me in this area, who I'm infatuated with this year, is Marvin Harrison Jr. And just to kind of paint a bit of a picture with last year, Marv was the 4th overall pick in the 2023 rookie class going to Arizona, and his father, Marvin Harrison Sr., he's an all-time Hall of Famer wide receiver. The pedigree in that family line is well and truly there. And I mean, as a fantasy community, we probably did a little bit of a disservice by pumping up Marv to heights that were just really, honestly, unachievable for a rookie. I mean, if we put our sleeper hat back on, he was going at the back end of the second round in a lot of drafts, and that was the highest since Jamar Chase, and I think that was 2 rounds higher than Jamar Chase's rookie year. So it was just astronomical, the expectations that were put on Marvin Harrison. And even with that being said, he didn't have that bad of a year as a rookie. I mean, compared to his expectations, it was a bit of a downfall, but in the grand scheme of things, he eclipsed 800 yards and also had 8 receiving touchdowns. And in this format, I'm really targeting guys where I think are going to see a whole heap of volume and also have that double-digit touchdown upside. And Marvin Harrison, for me, well and truly has that this year. The only person else on his team that's really worth anything is Trey McBride, I think he's the second highest tight end in this format. But between those two guys, that's pretty much the passing attack. And Marvin Harrison actually saw double the amount of end zone targets that Trey McBride saw last year, and that touted in a few more touchdowns. Mav, before we jump over to tight ends, what are your views on Marvin Harrison? Is he a guy you're kind of targeting, or you're looking to go a little bit cheaper with Ridley and Waddle in that range?
Look, if I had to pick one of them at this point, it probably would be Waddle in particular. To be honest with you, mate, my team at the moment doesn't feature any of these players that we've mentioned in the mid-price madness just yet. And again, we'll reveal my team at some point over the next week to see what that looks like. It may change between now and then. It could, but at the current point in time, it does not own any of these players. But if it was, I would have Waddle. Look, Marvin Harrison's fine. I've seen him in quite a few teams around the Twitter space at the moment with guys sort of posting their teams online and asking for advice. I have seen quite a bit of Marvin Harrison in there, which is fine. Look, I want to see less sort of go routes, and I want to see sort of less like long balls. I want to see him get sort of involved in the short to intermediate play first before he gets hot and throws it deep. Which I think they're going to start doing this year too. I think it's going to be a focus point of getting him involved early because he's too good not to. Yards after catch is a beast. So if you can get him in motion and moving around, that would be ideal for the offense. And Kyle Murray in itself, who struggles with, I suppose, a bit of consistency in his game. So it would be good to see Marvin Harrison be more involved in the short to intermediate route play. And if he does, man, seriously, the sky's the limit for him, right? Do I Colin Murray? Not a chance. Not a chance. But we'll see how he plays out. But Marvin Harrison's not a bad option either, mate. As I said, I have seen him floating around in a few teams. And if you are thinking that, then don't be alarmed. I wouldn't be like, take him out immediately. But he's definitely an option for SuperCoach teams.
Yeah, but I guess just to kind of sum up this tier, there is a couple of well-priced options here, but for the most part, like there is just guys that you want to see well and truly clear of. I mean, even Tank Dell, priced above Jalen Waddle, he missed a majority of last year and he won't play at all this upcoming season. So yeah, there's just some things just.
How many percent do you own Tank Dell? It has to be
I don't know if this is legit. Oh no, it's not giving me percentage on this one.
Oh, okay.
I can't say it, but yeah, if it's anything more than 0%, then people need to, what did Whisper say the other week? You need to buy a mirror and you need to look at yourself. Because, that is just not the right reason. And DeMarcus Robinson as well, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, just steer clear of these guys. It's for the most part, it's the primos and then also those rookies that we love that are priced much more friendly.
Very important to keep in mind. And I think McGruff is there in the chat saying that he likes 3 guns and 3 cheapies. I think he probably means more so for the running back room if we're translating it back to what we were talking about before. I think that's what he's talking about. But it's very much the same for wide receivers as well. Obviously, you've got 2 more players that you need to field. You're probably more looking at 5 and 3 or something like that. 5 expensive players and 3 cheapies if you want to do it like that. I've actually got 6 and 2 personally in my team at the moment. I've gone all out big boy spending in the wide receiver room. But you can get away with 5 and 3. You can probably get away with 4 and 4, ideally. But ideally, it's probably the right number is probably 5 and 3, if I'm being quite honest with you, because Ted McMillan should be a starter in the majority of the sides.
Couldn't agree more with you, mate, here. And we'll throw over here to tight ends. And with these guys, we will be lowering the range a little bit because if we did do 7 to 14, that would pretty much have just about everybody in there. So we'll take it down to 7 to 11 mil. And we'll highlight a couple of these guys here. And starting with the knots, love to start negative. But, I mean, looking at this list here, Pat Frymuth is 7th on this list. They've just added Jonnu Smith, another tight end, to the system. We don't project that the Steelers are going to have much in the passing game. It's an Arthur Smith-led offense. And this price, it's just overblown. There's just no real – you're really not going to get anything of value back with Pat Frymuth. And another guy that I will also throw out here, which is just absolutely no hope of returning any value, Foster Moreau for the New Orleans Saints. And actually, his running mate, Juwan Johnson, he's going to be the starter. We all expect straight out the gates, and he's going to be seeing most of the works. But even still, with that being said, I wouldn't take any of them. But this price, it's just way too over top. Before we get to more positive things, Mav, is there anyone here that you're avoiding in this price range? I mean, Noah Gray, Josh Oliver, those guys are all pretty.
I'll give you one straight off the bat. Kyle Pitts.
No, mate. I said we'll start off with the dots and then we'll go to the hots with Kyle Pitts. That's in the wrong category. We're a Kyle Pitts show. But I continue.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, massive avoid. Dallas got it. Very much the same in my opinion. I'm not sure what he's priced at, but I'd say he'd be in that area. Yeah,
10.8. He's actually the highest of this list.
Yeah, okay. So he sneaks in just.
Snuck in just.
Yep. Yeah, so he's up and down. He's getting a bit on an age now too, but they're pretty stacked there. He's probably one to avoid. But yeah, all in all, mate, there's probably only 2 or 3 tight ends here that I reckon you'd actually consider at mid-price madnesses. Again, you look at either you go the primos or you either go the rookies. The rookies that we know that obviously you got Loveland and Tyler Warren that would be featuring in a lot of sides. You'd have one of those players absolutely, if not 2 of them, depending on how your team build is. But the other one that I'd be looking at, obviously, I'm going to give you two names off the bat here, mate. I'm going to give you a name of TJ Hawkinson would be one that would be featuring in a lot of sides at the moment. What's his price at? No,
Love it. So he's at 7.59, just under Jawan Johnson and Foster Moreau, guys that are really going to offer you nothing.
Ridiculous. Mate, honestly, another one that sort of appeals to me is actually Jake Ferguson. What's his price at, please?
He's actually not in this range, mate. He's probably a little bit cheaper. I think he's in the 6 mil range. Jake Ferg, he's just above 6 mil. So going a little bit deeper there.
Okay. Now I'm going to put my Cowboys hat on. It's back on already, so it's I'm talking about. He's one that if you want to go a bit cheaper and you can't fit Hawkinson in, this guy is a top 10 potential player. I'm going to put in Tuck Craft as well. What's his price?
He's a bit higher. He's at just under 10 mil under Sam Laporta, 9.97.
Okay, so Tucker Craft and Jake Ferguson are probably two players, probably two different scales of prices there. One's at 9, one's at 6, right? So these two players, I think, can definitely finish on the top 10 players in tight end positions this year. Jake Ferguson was ranked number 1 in the red zone throughout his whole position in 2024. 2023, sorry, it was 2023. He was ranked number 1 in that position. We know the passing game is going to be pretty, not electric in Dallas, but it's going to be very frequent. The running game is not looking too good, so they're going to be passing the ball a lot. Dak loves using Ferguson, and Ferguson was injured last year a fair bit, so he was up and down because of injury. If he stays healthy, he's going to gain price, and he'll be a top 10 tight end easy in the competition. Same with Hawkinson, man. So Hawkinson's featuring in a lot of teams at the moment, and rightfully so. He's been the number 1 player in his position at some point in his career. I don't know if he can get back to being that number 1 player personally in his position, but he could definitely be a top 5, top 6 player quite easily. And I actually probably expect him to be this year, to be honest. And he's going to be a safety blanket for JJ McCarthy, who's obviously coming into his first year into playing into the side. But it's going to be a nice little safety blanket for a rookie tight end. For a rookie QB.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with the TJ Hawk one there. Also, Jordan Addison, the second wide receiver, he will be missing the first 3 games of the year. So if there's ever a time for him to score touchdowns and see more opportunity, it will be in those first 3 weeks. So you will get, I definitely expect him to grow in price for sure. And Jake Ferguson as well. That Cowboys offense is going to be very featured in the passing game because their running game is lackluster, to say the best. The only other guy that I really like in this range, and shout out to Secko, he made his list and we gave him a little bit of cheek for it. Travis Kelce, very polarizing name. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, this one's for you. But Travis Kelce last year, it was all in all a down year for Travis Kelce. After the last 10 years, he's just been the number 1 overall selection in this position. But last year, he saw the most red zone targets as a tight end, and he only converted for 3 touchdowns. So I don't think that's going to be the same. I think he will bounce back. And similar to TJ Hawkinson, a wide receiver for this offense in Rashee Rice, even though it hasn't been confirmed yet, we all believe that there's going to be at least a 4 to 6 week suspension coming. So that'll open the door up for Travis Kelce to generate some cash at the gate. So that's really tight ends. I mean, other guys to avoid, Kate Otten, just to throw that out there. He's going to be the 4th option on his offense, and he's priced up higher, 2 mil higher than TJ Hawkinson. So definitely steer clear of Kate Otten and opt in. Sam Laporta, he's just under Kelce. He's at 10.5. So he'd be another one for sure in that range.
Do you reckon he bounces back to a top 3 player in his position next year?
No, I think there's too many options in Detroit. I mean, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who just gobbles up targets. Jamison Williams, who knew offensive coordinator John Morton has just been praising all offseason to have a breakout, even though by all accounts, he had a breakout last year. And also Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So Sam Laporta is probably the 4th option at best in that offense. And without Ben Johnson, I just can't see them being as tricky and getting Sam Laporta as involved. What are your kind of thoughts on Laporta there, Mav, before we switch over to kickers?
He's not in my team. He's not in consideration to be in my team. He's probably a bit too expensive to even consider doing it.
Yeah.
So no. I would prefer having, if I had to choose, I would definitely roll with a TJ Hawkinson or a Jake Ferguson over Sam Laporta in my team, just based off the cost of these players.
Yeah, and a good thing to remember with tight ends too, you really want to try and target the guys that have an opportunity to be the top 2 target in their offense. Anything less than that, there's just not enough opportunity to go around, and you're purely just playing for touchdowns at that point. So
you want to generate cash too.
Yeah, you do.
So
for sure.
That's the whole point of the game, is generating cash. So I think Sam Laporta won't generate much cash, if any. He could probably go down, to be honest, if anything. While the other 2 in Hawkinson and Ferguson will definitely make money off the bat. So they could be very similar prices by week 3, quite easy. So, yeah.
Yeah, and all it would really take too is a touchdown. Either of those guys get a touchdown, their break-evens are just going to be smashed. So, not even to mention the receiving receptions and receiving yards on top. So, enough time on tight ends. Let's get into kickers. And for this one, we will be dipping the price range down a little bit more as well, just because at the height of 14 mil, those guys are that's pretty much the cream of the crop. So 7 to 10 mil in this range here, Mav. I'll throw it to you first. Guys that you're kind of avoiding, and I guess kickers is a little bit, it's very different to the other positions because they pretty much all are starters for their team. But looking at this range here from there's 1 to 11, what guys are you kind of fading in this grouping?
Pretty much everyone, mate. There's not really a lot there that I really love at this point. But that's just me hating kickers in itself, really, to be honest with you, mate. I mean, here's a little spoiler. I actually have the Atlanta kicker at the moment. He's in my team at his current point in time. He's one that would be featured a lot in teams. I think that Penix being a quarterback won't be able to finish drives. They'll be able to move the ball, but not finish drives. So I think that is it. Is that his name?
Young Wei Koo. Yep, that's the one.
He'll be out, and he's a good kicker too. He can dob them from 50. They're playing in a dome, so half the time all their home games have to worry about any weather or anything like that. He's always a nice little one to have. So I'm sort of avoiding guys that sort of play outside of weather dependent, if possible. Tyler Loop has been featured a lot in everyone's teams. He's a rookie kicker coming in. And this is a great question there from my old mate here. He's a cash cow, man. He's playing on one of the best teams in the competition. He's got a serious leg, and will generate cash from the get-go. So even if it's just in PATs, extra points, he's going to generate cash. So that's always a good one to have early on. But outside of that, he's the cheapest option there that you have into your side. And then you've got the mid-range price players, which could be anything, man. It seriously could be. Chase McLaughlin's probably another one there that I don't mind. The Tampa Bay kicker. He doubled them from about 50, 55 quite easily. Not a problem in the world. I actually seen him double up from 60 or 58, I think it was last year. I think it was his longest. Again, plays in an outdoor arena in Tampa Bay, so it's always a bit harder. Out there, you might get average weather conditions. They do have cyclone warnings as well. So, there's always something that happens in Tampa Bay, but he's a good kicker and a good offense.
And with that, Mav, you've given 2 guys that you like. One's a rookie in Tyler Loop that plays for the Ravens, and the other guy is a more premium that's outside of this range. So it's really, you really don't want to be, I guess, going cheap. Just to kind of word it up. And kickers, we want those guys that are going to be, tied to elite offenses. Like Mav said, playing guys that play in domes more particular. So you take the weather out of it, that weather obstacle. But nobody really else in this range. I mean, you may as well just spend up a little bit more for your starter, and then throw in Tyler Loop. He'll probably be close to 100% owned I'd say, to start the year. The only guy that I just kind of want to bring up purely because of the 70-yard field goal he kicked during preseason week 1, and I think he's probably getting a bit of hype, Cam Little for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And unfortunately, because it wasn't preseason, his 70-yard field goal crack didn't match the record, which was set by Justin Tucker, which I think was 66 yards. So he's probably the only one that's going to be steaming up based on that training camp hype. I know Mav, he loves a kicker with a big leg, so that's Cam Little all over. But anything else to really add in here, Mav, when it comes to kickers?
Big leg, big shoe, they say, mate.
That's what they say.
No, I like Cam Little as well, mate. It's probably another one, again, play in an outdoor stadium, so that's it's obviously a concern in itself. But I can see Cam Little generating cash. I really can. What's his price there, mate? I think it's like, what, 7 mil, 8 mil?
8.85.
8.85. So, look, I've got some warning signs on Trevor Lawrence coming into 2025. I think he might be a bit overrated, to be honest with you. Look, I don't hate him by any means. I think he's a pretty good player, but I don't think he's a great player either. So I can see a world where Cam Little is just kicking field goals for fun. The offense is really good. They've got 2 really good wide receivers there, and obviously Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. So there's real good ability there to move the ball. Run game, we're not sure how that's going to be just yet, but at the same token, I think they'll be able to move the ball enough where Cam Little will be featured to be kicking field goals all day. Drive.
Yeah. And with that, they won't really need to move the ball that much. I mean, it's 30 yards, Cam Little 70 yards out, he'll bang that in. We've seen it before. So, I mean, that 50 plus, that's a big scoring bonus when you kick out that far.
With kickers, it's where you're making money. 50 plus, give me that every time. I've played in a league where there's kickers, Mullo, and it's a bit hard because you don't want to see these 30-yard field goals. They don't really interest you. You actually want to see a third down. You're actually cheering a third down for the QB to actually come up short and hoping they come out from a 50-yard 50 plus and just bang them in. Jake Moody is another one in a decent offense, but he had an absolute shocker last year. Is he still listed in the SuperCoach? Is he still got a job, Jake Moody?
No, he's still there. He's outside. Actually, I believe he's just higher than 10 mil. Where are we? Jake Moody, yeah, literally just over 10.07. Jake Moody there.
He was appalling. He got injured, I think it was week 5, week 6 last year. Came back sort of a month later. He was appalling. He was missing field goals left, right, and centre. So he's definitely, look, I don't know how good he's going to be. Kicking's such a confidence thing, right? It's a mental game. They'll in training, they won't miss. But when there's people in the stands and there's actually pressure and there's scores on the board, it gets to their head. So we'll see how he bounces back. But anyway.
That's enough of kickers. Enough of gross kickers. Right. DSTs, 6 to 8 mil range. We're lowering these ones down to. Similar thing. There's not a lot of defenses out there and the price isn't too high, but 6 to 8 mil gives us a nice little bit of variance here. Dallas Cowboys, your Cowboys there, Mav, and that's probably off the top. Are you fading these guys? I know Micah Parsons, that deal still hasn't been done. There's been a lot of talks of trades. It's a very dirty situation. To start us off, Mav, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys as they highlight this range?
They're going to be a gaping hole all year, mate. With or without Micah Parsons. It's just, a gaping hole. Don't like the Cowboys defense at all. It's going to be gross for the most part. So please don't put them into your teams unless they decide they want to actually play. But if I saw a bit of the preseason, it was the seconds playing the defense the majority of the time, and I wasn't really too impressed, to be honest with you. So no, please do not start them into your sides. That'd be an error.
Unless you like big gaping holes, do not put Dallas Cowboys in your sides. That's a quote from Mav. The other real guy, Mav, team here, Mav, actually to avoid. Cincinnati Bengals, they're at 7 mil, $1 million less than the Cowboys. And we saw their defense last year. That's what cost Joe Burrow and that offense getting into the playoffs, because they were averaging 30 points a game on offense, but the defense was allowing even more. And with the scoring setting, I think it's anything over 25 is 0 points, and 30 plus is even negative territory. So, I mean, the amount of negative games that you would have got from the Bengals last year, and they didn't really improve too much. They spent a lot of, I guess, pieces, but they haven't re-signed Trey Hendrickson, who was the sack leader last year. So, I mean, without him, they're going to be no hope. But even with him, they still might struggle. So that's one to avoid. Other ones to avoid here. I mean, the Saints, we hate their offense this year. So that defense is just going to get absolutely blasted. They're going to be on the field a whole lot. And towards the end of games, they're just going to be leaking points. Anybody else here from this list, Mav, that you're fading before we get in the hotness?
Mate, there's probably not a few. There's not really many defenses I actually really like to start with at the moment. So we'll go on to the hotness of the defenses at the moment, and the Cardinals are one that really stand out from the get-go, right? They are ones that, you know, have the ability to make a step forward. You know, you've put an article in the Patreon outlining defenses already, so please jump in, have a look at the Patreon and get that article. It actually is very insightful. Actually taught me a few things there which I wasn't aware of. I'm not really a specialist in the defensive team by any stretch, but that was a fantastic article to read just to get some clarity in what's happening around there. But Cardinals are one that really stand out to me the most, to be honest with you. In my teams at the moment, I haven't spent big cash on defensive teams. I've sort of been floating around the mid-price madness around the defensive sides. I believe at the moment I've got the Cardinals, and I reckon I might have the Jets, but I think I've changed that. I think I've changed back to the Niners. The Niners are in my side too. What's their price, please, Marlo?
So they're actually lower. The Niners are just under 6 mil. They're at 5.76.
Yeah, brilliant. The Niners currently are my starting team at defensive team. They are stacked on defense. They are absolutely stacked. That's madness at that price. Look, they were a bit average last year. They really were. They were injured though, so we expect they'll get a few back, and they'll start dominating to what we know of. Shanahan will make sure that happens. There's no way that they have a stinky defense this year. They do like making play. They're good playmakers, but also they don't really allow a lot of points either. So they are ones at the moment that I've got. So the Cardinals and the Niners are the two teams that I've been targeting.
No, I love it. Couldn't agree more on both of those guys. And one thing with defense, it is going to be a very volatile position, and it's going to be really schedule dependent as well. And Cardinals, I know off the top of my head, they face the New Orleans Saints in week 1. I think they have every chance to hold that team to 0 points. The Cardinals, they invested so much on the offseason and also in the rookie draft this year. I think all but one pick in the draft they spent on defense, and they also brought in some massive guys in free agency. And it's also led by head coach Jonathan Gannon, who is a defensive-minded coach there in Arizona. So, yeah, I love Arizona Cardinals, 49ers. You don't really want to touch anybody else in this list. Maybe New York Jets. We'll see how they kind of play out, but that could be, if their offense stinks as well, that could be one to kind of manage and keep track of. But that's really the two there in this range. And Mav, that's pretty much it for our mid-price madness. So I'll flick us both over here to here. So yeah, we've kind of gone through in quarterbacks. There's only really a couple in that middle range, and Justin Fields and Michael Penix that are even starters, really, that are going to produce anything for you. But for the most part, you really want to go for the primos, or you want to go for those rookies in Cam Ward, JJ McCarthy, who's his second year, but he missed his rookie season. And also, Mav, am I missing out any other rookies that really have a starting chance? I think it's really just JJ McCarthy and Cam Ward, hey?
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much all it is at the QB position there. But, it's hard. And I'd love to know in the comments when people filter through this video at some point and would like to actually let us know who they've got at the moment. And I saw what the team builds are like. I've seen a lot on social media, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more along the way. I feel as though a lot of teams are quite similar. And there's a lot of rookies out there. Like there's a lot of rookie GMs at the moment, should I say, that are starting up there at SuperCoach teams and not knowing what they're doing. So I'm hoping. I saw a team the other day that had Ray McLeod in it. And I said, mate, just get him out. Just no. So, and again, he did confess he was a rookie himself and doesn't really know what what he's doing, but getting advice along the way to try and fast track his ability. So I think it's very important that you keep watching these videos and podcasts and wherever you listen and just stay ahead of what's happening and what you shouldn't put into your sides. We're going to have plenty more SuperCoach content over the next 3-4 weeks and into the season. But as we all know in SuperCoach, your starting teams are very important. You stuff that up, you're already 3 or 4 steps behind in your season before it even starts. You'll make correction trades. You'll make trades that you rage trades. It'll always be something that you always need to keep on track of. But if you get your starting squad correct from the get-go, it's a massive, massive advantage, and you can just sort of just keep rolling from there. We've got Jordan Tedesco there in the chat. Thoughts on CJ Stroud? I don't know what his price is top of my head. I honestly couldn't tell you since I'm on my phone podcasting tonight, unfortunately. But have you got his price there, Mullin?
He's 15. He's just under 16, 15.78. So yeah, a little bit higher than that mid-range that we went through.
Yeah, okay. So if we're expecting sort of any sort of bounce back from CJ Stroud in his third year, that's not a bad price. He was super, super high coming into 2024 in fantasy drafts. He was going first round. So look, he's got ability to go up to your mid-20s or mid to low 20s in terms of cost and gain some cost, but he's very touchdown dependent. So he'll have to have 2 or 3 touchdowns a game because he's got no rushing ability on the ground. So he's going to need to have 2 or 3 touchdowns a game to really improve and get better. Because we did see in year 1 he was an absolute machine in doing that. So hopefully I can bring that back into his game.
And looking around that area too on CJ Stroud before we close things up, Jameis Winston, Josh Dobbs, Kirk Cousins, they're all guys around CJ Stroud. Those guys aren't even starting. So it just goes to show like the pricing on this SuperCoach for this year, it is very out, and you need to dodge a lot of landmines to make sure that you're going to be on the right track. That's pretty much going to do it. I'll just throw this up here again before we close out. Our Insight Unlimited League, 57735. If you do want to get involved, I'm sure we're probably clipped that 200 mark now at the moment. We will be doing weekly prizes for the top total points winner of each week. Make sure to join that one there. And Mav, we're going to be back tomorrow night, mate. It's going to be a real good one. I'll just have to quickly flick this back over to us. It's going to be a really good one. Our My Guys episode, and full transparency, we are taking inspiration from the fantasy footballers. Those guys absolutely kill it over there. And our My Guys, could be our best show of the year, I think, so far. So it's going to be a really good, fun one. We'll be back here at 7:30 with all of us. Before we sign out here, Mav, any closing thoughts on Mid-Price Madness tonight?
No, not really any closing thoughts for Mid-Price Madness. I think we've covered that pretty well over the last sort of hour. But I will say we've got 199 people currently in our Insight Unlimited that you just put onto the screen just before. So jump in, get involved. All you have to do is score the highest score in that league for the week, and you're eligible for a prize. So it's money for jam, man. It costs nothing to join in, but you could be a real winner by the end of it. So awesome.
Yeah, and we'll all be in it too. So if you beat us, flag us on social media. You can find myself at @Mullin_FF, Mav at IFS Maverick. Flag us on there, roast us if you manage to top us for that week. And also, if you do have any questions on your team or you want to get a little bit of advice, we're very active over there on social media, and we love to see it, and we love to hand out and give our 2 takes on those things as well. But that'll do us here for tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow with our My Guys app. One to watch.
Cheers.